Hello, and welcome to all my beautiful, vibrant souls who have their North Node in Gemini, or for any cross watchers who has a special person in their life where their North Node is in Gemini. Welcome. So this is a timeless reading to look at messages from your spirit guides about where you are on your North Node journey. The beginning of this video is going to be me kind of explaining a little bit about this placement and pertinent information, and then we're going to go into oracle cards and get further details with the tarot deck that I've already pre-shuffled and I'll be pulling on camera. Sorry for the sniffles. My asthma and allergies are awful right now. Oh, excuse me, case in point. All right. So yeah, keep in mind, I also have a South Node series out, and I want to kind of make a couple of sort of declarations. There's a few caveats here that I want to kind of touch on briefly. One of which is that these are messages for your North Node journey whenever you find them, meaning that, your North Node journey is a lifelong one. And the messages that you receive at this time are meant to find you at this time, right? So whenever you're finding it, this is spirit trying to get your attention, but that your North Node journey will ultimately shift and change and grow as you go along. So if you are interested, oh my God, sorry guys. If you are interested in this reading for yourself, either now or in the future, please DM me. I do custom readings. If I get enough requests, I will add a North Node reading to my shop. And the other reason why I say that is because the second caveat here, this is just talking about the placement of North Node in Gemini just in general, but this is going to be heavily impacted based on what house it's in for you, as well as how it's aspected with other placements in your chart. So just keep that in mind. Once again, if you're looking for a more personalized version of this reading for yourself based on your own personal astrology, feel free to check out my shop link in the description box and DM me if you're interested in a custom order. So, oh my God, sorry guys. Oh my God, I almost tipped right out of my chair. Woo! Okay, so what is now, let's try again, shall we? What is North Node in Gemini all about? So I think it's really important, first of all, to kind of explain your North and South Node. So your North and South Node are always going to be opposites from one another on the wheel of the zodiac. And this is important because your South Node represents an energy that you have already mastered. This is why it's often thought to be a past life placement, because it kind of clues you into a past life that is playing a part in this life, right? So this is an energy that you've already mastered, and all oppositional signs on the wheel of the zodiac, they have some kind of common, it's like a common quest. It's a problem they're both trying to solve. It's something they're both trying to figure out, something they're trying to kind of, an issue they're trying to resolve. And they start at opposite ends of the spectrum. And the goal, in any oppositional situation is to master both energies so you can kind of take the strengths from both and know how to utilize them in order to equilibrate and find balance at a soul level, but also to be able to have a very holistic approach to solving a problem, right? So with your South Node, this is saying, all North and South Node are opposites one another. So you start with your South Node energy, and this is what you've already mastered. So by moving toward your North Node, you are seeking that balance and equilibration at a soul level in this area of life. Now, the Sagittarius Gemini axis, right? Because if you have North Node in Gemini, that puts your South Node in Sagittarius. The Sagittarius Gemini axis is all about learning, right? Sorry, had a little, I thought I had a burp stuck. I did not, but I was like, hang on, give me a sec. So this is all about learning. Both of these are mutable signs. So both of them have a certain element of flexibility in this process. And this can be really beneficial, but as with everything, can also offer some drawbacks. And the main difference between them is that how do I want to say this? The main difference between them is that they both seek knowledge, right? They seek understanding. They seek higher knowledge and understanding, higher wisdom. But the way that they do it is completely different. Sagittarius is very much that kind of higher spirituality, philosophy. Excuse me. Sagittarius also likes to accrue abstract knowledge, and they like to accrue it through experience, right? Whether their own or whether this involves, traveling, talking to people who have different backgrounds than they do, different, cultural, racial identities, different gender identities. This is why they're kind of like a citizen of the world kind of energy, because they want to see how, like, Sagittarius is all about trying to understand the business of being human, and they do so largely through, again, experience, either their own or the experience of other people to help guide them. And then Gemini likes to do this in a very concrete way. Gemini is also very centered in your kind of like immediate surroundings community. This is why, it rules the third house. And this is why, in part, it can really deal with siblings, neighbors, people in your neighborhood, your apartment building, the people you went to grade school with, like community members, etc. So Gemini likes to, I would also say Gemini might be a little bit more prone to dispersing information, as well as accruing it. And Sagittarius is as well. I guess just in a different context. So this is, sorry, I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase things. There's a lot that goes along with this axis. It's really interesting because a lot of the kind of bullet points on paper between these two can look really similar, but they express themselves completely differently, even more so than the other sort of oppositional pairings. I do want to say, like I was mentioning earlier, they are both mutable, meaning there's a certain element of change, of fluidity involved with both, and this has benefits and drawbacks. One of the issues, though, that both have with this is that Sagittarius, I would argue, can be a little more prone to act on impulse, particularly intuitive insight. And Gemini can be a little bit more prone to, because they have that kind of back and forth in their mindset. So like Gemini is known for being very, very smart, really witty, clever. They know a lot of information, both things you can observe in a book, they know a lot of concrete information. And like I said, this is what you can read in a book, what you can see online, what you can kind of consume in your immediate availability, right? You got the book in your hands, you go to your library, you get that information, you hop on your phone, you see it on social media. Again, there's an immediacy to it, and there's also a little bit of like a localized kind of energy to it. This is also why Gemini is like a very social butterfly, and they tend to be very involved in community matters. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. They tend to be very involved in community matters. So they're very witty, they're very smart. They can also be really strategic, especially socially, for the good and the bad. But the kind of drawback with Gemini energy is that oftentimes they can see the potential in multiple different paths, but they struggle to trust their own decision making, because it's like, it almost is kind of like the Two of Swords in the tarot. There's equally viable versions of the truth, and it's up to them to kind of self-authorize and take a chance, right? And this is where Sagittarius really thrives and excels. Is like Sagittarius will get that kind of intuitive impulse and they act on it. They don't really question that. Whereas Gemini can question itself into being a hot mess. So this is definitely something that Gemini can struggle with. However, having South Node in Sagittarius, North Node in Gemini, can kind of talk about a placement where you might be a little prone to do the opposite. You might act on impulse, but struggle to really analyze your patterns or extract the wisdom of your patterns, especially if you're very focused. Sagittarius rules the 9th house traditionally, and Gemini is the 3rd house. So the houses 1 through 6 in the, your natal chart and in the wheel of the zodiac, these are personal houses. These are the things you go through personally. Not saying other people aren't involved, but they're kind of more of an internal growth process, whereas houses 7 through 12 are your interpersonal houses. So Sagittarius is, like I said, the ruler of the 9th house, meaning a lot of this, the wisdom that they accrue or that they gather is both, collected from others, from the collective. I was like, oh shoot, I'm trying not to repeat my words, but I was in trouble like 5 words into that sentence. It's not only gathered from the collective, but it's also administrated to the, administered, there we go, administrated. You guys, I can't talk. There you go, North Node in Gemini, it's ruled by Mercury, so like, if you guys struggle to communicate, I feel it. But it's also administered to a larger group of people, right? Again, Gemini tends to be a little bit more localized. So out of all the personal, the personal houses, Gemini and 3rd house energy is probably one of the more social ones, but it is still relatively concentrated. So this is kind of a problem that South Node Sagittarius can kind of deal with. Is that there's this like, I'm going to act on my intuition, act on my intuitive promptings. And one of the things that this placement to me can be a little bit prone to, excuse me, is sometimes it can be a little bit prone to missing some of the finer points of their experiences, or again, like extracting, like analyzing their patterns, analyzing a situation, analyzing whatever it is. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. To gain like a concrete or, to gain a concrete understanding and or actionable steps. That's something that can definitely kind of slip through the cracks and can be kind of chalked up to greater spirituality. So for example, I always say this if you've ever gotten a reading with me, which thank you if you have, and thank you if you haven't too. Like, I'm just happy you're here. But I always say this where we have this kind of war between spirituality and like psychology, or spirituality and science. And I think that doesn't have to be the case, and B, it shouldn't be the case, right? I think that spirituality spirituality addresses the macro, right? It's the why. It's the why of everything in capital letters, whereas something like psychology, for example, can address more of the micro, right? This is the why in lowercase letters. And so like, this is kind of that, there are things that evade our current understanding, right? And that can be explained through a spiritual lens. And that's something that Gemini struggles to do. And then there are things that have a spiritual purpose, but you still have to navigate them in your life, which requires self-awareness, being able to recognize patterns, analyzing patterns, right? And then knowing the actionable steps to take in order to... Oh, there's a little orange cat outside my window. Oh, he's so cute. Okay, sorry. Taking those actionable steps in order to create a different outcome, right? And this is where South Node Sagittarius can struggle, because like, using the example I was just using, like, let's say in interpersonal relationships, South Node Sagittarius would be very like, might be more prone to kind of being like, oh, this is, this is a soul tie, this is a soul connection, that's why XYZ happened, and kind of like almost, be like, all right, cool, we solved that mystery, and then kind of move on to the next thing, right? The next thing and the next thing. Whereas being able to kind of point to some of, again, analyzing the patterns and being like, okay, yes, this is a soul tie, and this is probably the big reason as to why I'm going through XYZ, but I need to take a closer look at this situation and notice, what are my patterns that are showing up here? What are their patterns that are showing up here, right? And being able to kind of, again, do that analytical legwork, because we have to be equally, of the divine and of, our earthly selves while we're here. And this is kind of like, I think, the back burner issue that this axis kind of deals with. I hope that makes sense. So South Node, oh, this cat is so cute, you guys, I'm dying. Oh, hi, buddy. Oh my God, why he's so cute. Excuse me. So South Node Sagittarius can be prone to kind of miss some of those details, right? And again, kind of like chalk it up to these bigger influences that they may kind of like unintentionally give up their power to, like spirituality, like, oh, it's this would be like, oh, you know what, it's a cultural difference, and then leaving it at that instead of saying, yes, it is a cultural difference. How do we how do we navigate this in our relationship, right? How do we navigate this cultural difference, right? Like, they're very, very good with the big, the big macro Y in capital letters, not so much with the micro. And this is why South Node Sagittarius can be prone to kind of seemingly on the surface jumping from thing to thing to thing, whereas strong Gemini placements can almost be the opposite, where it's like they excuse me, they can kind of do a lot of the legwork, and then it's like they can kind of overanalyze and struggle to either take effective action or struggle to trust the action they've taken. And they don't really like kind of have that sense of the larger purpose of something. So it's like, well, I'm not seeing it right here, right now. This isn't following, the healing arc I read about. What is happening here? And they can start to doubt not only themselves, but also doubt the universe, doubt the divine. Something that is worth mentioning as well. So not only are you encouraged to move toward your North Node energy in this lifetime to equilibrate and seek that balance at a soul level, excuse me, I'm sorry, but it's really important to note, you guys, I'm having a really hard time with my throat chakra in this reading. I'm having a really hard time communicating, so I feel like this is something that you guys are really struggling with at this time. Again, Gemini is ruled by Mercury and usually an excellent communicator more often than not. So you might be struggling really heavily with communicating right now. I just wanted to point it out because otherwise it'll keep happening until I point it out. Excuse me, I'm just taking a sip of my water. Beautiful, darling. Oh my God. All right, I think that's the last one. So with, your South Node into your North Node journey, something that's important to notice is that not only have you mastered your South Node energy, but in this past life that's coming through represented by your South Node, this energy served you very well, right? That's why you developed it. That's why you leaned on it, because that was part of that life journey for you. So in this lifetime, your South Node is not only likely to be something that you default to, but your South Node will also serve you up until a point. And as you move further and further from your South Node energy to your North Node energy, right, your destiny, as you start to kind of move more toward that, maybe this is some spiritual awakenings, dark night of the soul kind of really triggers a lot of movement forward. It's going to be different for everybody, but as you move toward that, you're going to find that your South Node energy works less and less effectively for you. It's less and less of an option. And what this, this can kind of look like a lot of different things, and I can make a whole separate video about this if you guys are interested. Just put it in the comments. Excuse me. But this starts to look like maybe your old strategy of doing things no longer yields the results you want. Maybe your old strategy of doing things kind of burns you out, right? You start to hit a wall. Maybe it starts to compromise some area of your life that is really important to you, right? And this is why, because this is kind of like the universe giving you a 5-minute warning. They're trying to help you start to take really significant steps toward your North Node. So that's something to keep in mind. So with South Node in Sagittarius, this can look like if you maybe like to kind of bounce around and travel a lot, maybe there are a lot of restrictions placed on you. Sagittarius is also kind of known for their eternal optimism, which I love. But this also comes from the fact that Sagittarius tends to be prone to high highs and low lows, right? If Gemini can sometimes be so paralyzed by indecision that they don't make a move at all, Sagittarius does the opposite. They kind of make every move. They just are like, screw it, let's go for it. Roll the dice. I trust the universe. Let's do this, right? But to the point where, once again, they might be not always correctly analyzing a situation, or they're like, there are pitfalls. And so the further you get into this life journey, the more you're being encouraged to move toward your North Node, the more those pitfalls are going to start to show up or become more noticeable or become much more serious, right? They're going to have bigger consequences. And the whole entire purpose, like Sagittarian energy in general, when they hit those low lows, it's known for kind of hitting a wall. And then they kind of like, they have nowhere to go but up, pretty much. And that's that kind of eternally optimistic, expansive energy, not to mention the fact that it's ruled by Jupiter. Wow, you guys, I almost said Mercury and then I almost said Germany. So I don't know if somebody out there is German or from Germany who's watching, so hello. But that was really weird. Okay. But especially because it's ruled by Jupiter, this is kind of what is at play here. Now, I will say there are a lot of positive traits of this placement as well, right? Very optimistic, like I said, very in tune with divine timing, divine cycles. You might have kind of this little extra, pep in your step that comes with having universal luck on your side a little bit more. This also can indicate that in a past life you have really had a significant position being some type of spiritual teacher or kind of leader for other people. I definitely see that. Excuse me. And once again, also indicate that you may have been you may have traveled a lot, right? Been exposed to a lot of different backgrounds, belief systems, cultures, and that was a part of that life journey for you. So you might find that carries over into this life and you have an interest in those things. You like to travel a lot. You get itchy feet. You feel caged in when you have to stay in the same place too long. You may also find that you struggle to connect when you do have to stay in the same place for a long time. You might struggle to connect with your community, your immediate surroundings community, at least in the past, right? And this might be part of that, like, I got to get out, I got to go see the world, I got to travel. So I do kind of want to acknowledge that there's, benefits and drawbacks to every single zodiac sign. I'm not like here to like, shit on Sagittarius. In fact, I have North Node Sagittarius, so if anything, I envy these qualities about you. But the reason why this is important is that, having this energy on your side, Gemini North Node, like we said, this is all about being very analytical. There's also something here about the way you communicate I'm picking up on. I'm not exactly sure what it is yet. We'll kind of see as we go along. But this is, being analytical. This is also, I feel like too, making a plan and sticking to it, right? So Gemini struggles to stick to their plans, but Sagittarius can struggle to make the plans. Sagittarius is usually, once they, pick a direction they want to go in, it's all in. And that's a really wonderful trait of Sagittarius. They're like, yeah, let's see what happens. Let's go try it. Life is meant to be lived. So the nice thing is, as you kind of equilibrate and you kind of integrate more of your North Node and Gemini traits into your approach, this is where you do trust the divine. You've looked at everything in front of you. You have a lot of information, so you have some solid plans, right? But you do trust the divine at the same time, and it's like a good amount of like planning and leaving things up to fate, right? And the wonderful thing is about the balance point here is like you're learning from your experiences, you're learning from the experiences of others. You are making solid plans from having analyzed all the information in front of you, but you don't get stuck there, right? You trust yourself and you trust spirit. That's a really beautiful part of the balance point between these two signs. Once again, there's also, I'm really picking up heavily like a communication issue with Gemini being the twins. You might kind of have like go back and forth when it comes to communication. So this could be like a little bit hot and cold with communication. Again, it's almost like this energy of on to the next thing. So you might find that you have these like these short-lived connections, or you have encounters with people where you talk about really important things. They're very meaningful on your journey, but then maybe communication kind of falls to the wayside. Sagittarius is a fire sign energy and it's mutable, so longevity might be something that you struggle with a little bit. Yeah. As well as consistency a little bit is kind of something I'm getting. Something else though as well, Sagittarius is very much, into understanding moral philosophy. Sagittarius can have very, very strong beliefs that they are called to act from a place from, right? Sagittarius is very good with their moral, spiritual, philosophical, and psychological convictions, right? They're really solid with that. That's something that Gemini can kind of struggle with, but with that kind of energy as your South Node and Gemini North Node, you might find that in this lifetime, you start out with very strong beliefs, strong moral beliefs, strong philosophical beliefs, and you're being called to learn more about that in a very concrete way. Excuse me. Or to be able to communicate about them more effectively, to share the wisdom that you have, but also be open to challenging or questioning your beliefs a little bit more, right? This is like learning how to analyze what it's not just saying, I believe this, or I believe this is the right path. It's learning to analyze why. Why do we think that? And kind of unpacking that a little bit. And that can be a process that yields, kind of reveals our shadow a little bit, or our intellectual blind spots. But there's something here there's an important process about being able to really unpack the why of what you believe. And this is once again about analyzing your patterns. So this way, it's not saying that your beliefs are wrong for you, or that you're necessarily going to change your important, moral beliefs and philosophies, but you understand it better so you can apply it better, especially in situations where maybe in the past you've been prone to act on impulse. Integrating this energy will help you kind of understand a little bit more about like, okay, I feel like I need to move in this direction, or I want to go do this. Why? What does this mean for my future? How does this align with my overarching beliefs and ideals, right? It's kind of like, it's just being able to understand it better, as well as understand your part in your own patterns, your own belief system. And this also too, for me, Sagittarius with that Jupiter energy can be like a natural spiritual teacher. So integrating that Gemini and North Node energy can help you become more effective in that process, be able to communicate better, be able to, be able to take what you believe and strengthen that belief, but also make it more teachable, right? You can kind of proliferate on your ideas. Sorry for the sniffles. I'm trying. You can kind of proliferate a little bit more, or expound upon your ideas a little bit more, and that makes it so more people can receive the wisdom that you're trying to bring to them. So that's kind of a little bit about what this placement is. I know I just talked your ear off. With that, let's get into your actual cards. I have a card from the Blood and Honey Major Arcana deck, and this for me is kind of like an archetype deck. This is going to represent, excuse me, an energy that, I have to hiccup. There it is. Sorry, guys. An energy that your guides are encouraging you to embody or embrace at this point on your North Node journey to kind of help you move forward. We have a couple oracle cards to kind of talk about what areas of life this might be referencing for you. And then we have an oracle card that serves as a spirit guide message, and I will be pulling tarot on camera after that. So, my dear North Node Gemini folks, let's see what you've got. Oh, the Lovers, which is Gemini. Okay, I'm gonna shit my pants. Okay, so this is like right on point. You know what I'm almost getting just because of the imagery here? There's something here where this energy might come into play when it comes to your interpersonal relationships. You might struggle to stay in the same place, metaphorically and literally, and it makes it harder to kind of build these, solid foundations, these long-lasting connections. But another thing I'm getting is you might have a particular relationship in your life, or for some of you, this is coming in very soon, so your guides are trying to help you kind of prepare for this. But a particular relationship in your life where you and this person are like opposite sides of the same coin. You might literally have some really interesting synastry, like, your South Node is their North Node and vice versa. Something like that, where you have some like powerful oppositions in your synastry. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. But there's something where you guys are opposite sides of the same coin, and there's a lot of love there. There's a lot of passion with it. But I think that this might be difficult for you because this might challenge some of your beliefs or your sense of what you you feel to be right and wrong in relationships. But it's hard because, you know, either this is something that's been going on or this is going to enter your life soon. Your love for this person, the bond you share, this could be a divine counterpart with the Lovers here. The bond you share is so overwhelmingly powerful, or it will be so overwhelmingly powerful, that it's what keeps you coming back to do the work, right? This person is helping you or will be helping you move toward your North Node. And like I said, this is really going to be unpacking, why do I think this? Why do I believe this? What does this actually really mean? You might be kind of like, you know, utilizing spiritual terms and not saying you don't know what they mean, but without really deeply questioning it, doing a deep dive, you know, learning more about it, reading about it, thinking about like, okay, how does this apply to my life journey? You know, do I believe this kind of unilaterally across the board, or do I think this is case by case, circumstantial? Really doing that kind of work. Because I feel like this person has very different moral beliefs than you do. But you guys might have similar, like, bear with me. You guys might have different moral beliefs, but you might have similar values. So this would be like where, you know, you have the same values in terms of what you know, what you hold true to, what you want to invest in, but the way you go about it is totally different, right? So like, for example, let's say, you know, helping people who are financially destitute is important to you. You might think to do this by saying like, all right, you know, everything I don't immediately need right now, I'm giving away. I'm giving to you, you know, shirt off my back, that's fine. Like that might be your idea of like, this is how I can help people. Is anything extra I don't immediately need, I'm going to give to other people, right? And this person might kind of be like, I'm going to work on building my career and, you know, accruing a lot of money, so this way I have that money to give to people that need it, or I have that money for my family so they'll never have to know, you know, what poverty is like. You guys have, it's like you have the same value, but you just have a different approach to it. So that might be kind of what's at play here. But this is what I feel like you're going to have to do to make this connection work. Is that you're going to, it's going to be like really calling for you to dig deep. I kind of want to pull a tarot card to, okay. I was going to say I wanted to pull a tarot card to kind of get more details. So that, do I want to, yeah, okay, we're going to keep it. Excuse me. We have introspection, which is the Hermit, Virgo energy. We have the Mystic, which is the Hierophant. This is usually Taurus energy, but it also makes me think of Jupiter, so I can kind of see how it's here. We have the Empress reversed, which is Taurus and Libra. And then we have Strength. Okay, so all major arcana, and I shuffled this deck before I started, which is Leo energy, also reversed. Yeah, excuse me. We have 2 keys here as well. So this is unlocking something important for both of you. And with introspection, this is going to be something that causes you to go inward and think and really evaluate some aspect of your belief system. And it's going to be different for every one of you what this is. This might be multiple things, but this is going to trigger that, right? Because you guys have a spiritual connection. You have a spiritual contract with one another. You're learning the same kinds of lessons, just slightly differently. And this is why with the keys here, excuse me, this is unlocking a lot for both of you. We have, you know, 4 cards, 4 major arcana. They came falling out, right? And what this is unlocking is that, at least for you, my lovely viewer, with the Empress and Strength reversed, this is all about being able to stay grounded in yourself and your own beliefs, right? Be able to hold your head high, but also to find unconditional love for another person. And I'm not saying that you're not capable of that at all. Like, that's not what I am meaning by that, but like unconditional love no matter what. Like, this is like, I feel like this person challenges a really like big belief for you. And there's some things, you know, in our lives that are just like non-negotiable, right? But this is like this question of, can I accept this as it is? This is something that means a lot to you. You guys might argue about this. We have 2 moons here as well. So while the moon in astrology does talk about your inner world and your emotions. Because it deals with the subconscious, this is also stuff that's in your blind spot. This situation is meant to trigger up what's in your blind spots for both of you. And so for you, I feel like this is about the strength of unconditional love, right? This might be where you guys want really, really different things. Like maybe you feel like non-negotiable, I need to, be traveling, or I need to be, living in this area. I need to be, embarking on XYZ journey. And this person wants something, oppositional to that, or like in direct conflict with that. And you both feel so strongly about this issue. So this is all about, tapping into that unconditional love and saying, okay, it really getting down to the root of what is at the root of this issue, meaning whatever this belief is, or this, this stronghold is for you, really digging deep and analyzing and saying, okay, why is this so important for me? Why do I believe this? Why can I not let this go? And this person's going to have to do the same thing. Maybe a little bit differently, but they're going to have to do the same thing, right? And this is going to cause you to really, need to think, need to dig deep. This is going to cause this kind of deepening of your understanding of unconditional love. Once again, not saying you're not capable of that, but deepen your understanding even more so. So that's kind of what this is about. And I wouldn't normally interpret the lovers like that, but I am kind of getting that in this situation. So let's see what you have for your oracle cards. You have creativity, card 3. Okay, rose quartz, Venus with empathy. This is 14, so that reduces to a 5. Yup. Very Empress energy here too. And we have Venus, which the Empress is Venus's energy. So once again, you could be dealing with a Taurus, a Libra. You could have these placements in your chart. But yeah, okay. So this is exactly what we're just talking about. In terms of you and this person, this is about what you can make together, what you can create. Excuse my burp. We have the Merkaba, the same color as the background. So in this deck, we have cards where they're the same and cards where they're different. When they're the same, I take this to mean that your internal frequency is in harmony with your external reality, meaning your external reality is reflecting back your internal frequency, right? And where this is yellow, this is very much of the solar plexus chakra. So this has a lot to do not only with your creativity, but with your sense of happiness, joy, just with all the yellow, but also your sense of personal power, right? And I feel like for you guys, you do have that kind of optimistic trait. Your happiness is really important to you. Creating happiness for yourself and I'm hearing freedom to create happiness for yourself, right? So this is like, I've been living in this place for 3 years. You know what? I feel done living here. I'm not happy anymore. Let's go do something else, right? You've had a lot of freedom in creating your own happiness before. And I'm not saying that you haven't had attachments, but I think you've had the type of attachments that haven't really challenged this aspect of your life, right? So as you're kind of looking ahead, which, or however far ahead, as you're looking ahead with this person in mind, whether they're in your life already or they have yet to arrive, this is going to be challenging. How can you create your own happiness? What actions can you take to make your own happiness? And to like feel powerful in that with these kind of parameters in mind. And again, with empathy here, we have 5, and 5 is the number of challenges and changes. This is all about learning to see the other person's point of view, right? Learning to really hold space for the other person, because we have the rose quartz. There's going to be a lot of love here, right? And it's really interesting. I talk about this a lot. Whenever I see pearls, this does make me think of, pearls of wisdom, right? So it's the lessons that we're learning. But the way that a pearl is made is that an irritant will get into the shell of a mollusk, and it's usually a grain of sand, but it's not always. An irritant will get into the shell of a mollusk, and it will just irritate the soft tissues. So the mollusk secretes a substance called nacre, I think that's how you pronounce it, but it's Nacre. So correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And this is that like iridescent substance that, you know, that pearly kind of look, and it will just coat the irritant over and over and over, coat it in the substance over and over and over. And, you know, it's doing so to protect its soft tissues. But at the end, you have this lovely, beautiful pearl. So it does make me think of, you know, these lessons, this wisdom, but this is wisdom through repeated challenge or exposure to difficult circumstances, right? So for you guys, a facet of this connection is going to be, you know, even if it's only one issue, which I feel like it might not be, but even if it's only one issue, it's like you guys are going to repeatedly go head to head on this, toe to toe. You're going to have to figure this out, but the love that you have for each other is going to expand your understanding exponentially. This is going to be where, excuse me, you're really going to be, because even look how these little mollusks are facing away from each other. There are going to be times where you might go through a separation with this person. You might be in separation currently. But there are going to be times where you guys are really frustrated with each other. You're going to want to walk away from this connection. And you won't be able to have that as an option until you do all of the work associated with this situation for you, right? Like you guys are going to keep boomeranging back to each other until this issue is resolved at the very least. And this person might, like I said, be your divine counterpart, you know, whether you like the term soulmate, twin, you know, whatever it might be for you. This is somebody who you could very well end up spending the rest of your life with, this person, but you guys were going to have to figure this issue or these issues out, right? Because you guys have very different approaches for how to solve this. So this is very much in alignment with what we were talking about. Now let's see what your spirit guide message is. Oh, have fun. It says, stop. When was the last time you had fun? When was the last time you took a chance and did something silly, something totally unlike you, something just for the joy of it? It's long overdue for you to let go of your analytical mind and give yourself and your soul permission to have fun. That's really interesting, because that's kind of more like if this was North Node in Sagittarius, I would kind of more think to give this advice. But something I am getting, because at the bottom of this deck, when I put it back in the box, was a child's love. So there might be an aspect to which there are childhood issues that are coming up through this process that are coming up to be healed. I feel like this is also a reminder in this situation to try to have fun, to try to connect with each other over the things that you like, over the positive, over the things that you do have in common, and to try to connect to the feelings of love that you have, because that's going to guide you through the difficult moments that you have with this person. I do want to kind of clarify this a little bit though. Okay, we have the King of Pentacles reversed. Okay, and then we have the Hanged Man reversed. There we go. And the Fool reversed. And then the Page of Swords. I'm just going to cover it up because there are boobs. I don't mind boobs, but apparently BoobTube has a problem with it. Yeah, Justice is at the bottom. Okay, so this might be something where a lot of you might already kind of be familiar with this person or be involved with this person, and this is kind of what you're going through. This person could be an Earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, could be a Pisces. I look at the Fool as Aries energy, but some people look at it like Aquarius, and then we have Gemini, Libra, Aquarius with the Page of Swords. So when you're dealing with this person, I feel like the advice here is to try to approach this person with curiosity, right? Because it feels like this had a lot of potential. It was fun at the start. You know, it was like really lighthearted, but it feels like it's gotten very, very serious. And that's understandable. This person, I feel like, is going through, this person is going through a shift, right? And this is for both of you. You both are. Or you know, if you haven't met this person yet, it will incur a shift. But what's shifting for this person is that anything that threatens this person, I feel like, is very stuck in a certain mindset, a certain routine. They have things like we were talking about earlier where there's things that are equally important to both of you. They kind of have their own stronghold, their own blind spots. They have their own kind of non-negotiables. And what this situation is meant to do for this person is help really break down the barriers in their conception of what it is that makes them feel secure. This person might have heavy Taurus placements. or just earth placements in general. But the reason why is because this person, you know, with the Hanged Man, this person needs to gain a new perspective on what, you know, security means for them, what happiness means, right? Because I feel like this person doesn't like to take the leap of faith unless they know what's waiting for them, or unless they feel like, okay, this is a pretty surefire deal. And this person's learning that there are no guarantees in life, right? This is why I'm thinking you might have major synastry having to do with, you know, your north and south node, or the Gemini Sagittarius axis in general. So this could be where maybe your person's like, you know, got major Gemini placements, you know, things of that nature. And this person's being encouraged to really connect more with the divine, right? Pisces and Sagittarius are co-ruled by Jupiter. So this person, you've got what this person needs, and vice versa. But it does also require, you guys are helping each other dismantle some kind of ideas that have been holding you back from creating what it is you actually want in life, right? So for this person, you're helping them dismantle something that they've held on to as like a security blanket, and they're having to really question that. Again, if they're not in your life yet, you will have to do that. And help them see things from a different angle and be prepared to make a transformation, because the Hanged Man is always followed by the Death card. And for this person, it's all about taking a leap of faith. And the way that this happens is through, again, with the Page of Swords, you know, very like approaching the situation with curiosity, you know, wanting to learn, wanting to understand each other. And I want to know what this person is bringing for you, generally speaking. And like I said, it's going to be different for all of you. We have the Nine of Swords reversed, so there's something about anxiety kind of being, like, fears being eased a little bit across the board. The Two of Wands, okay. And the Six of Pentacles, interesting. So for some of you, you know, what this is really all about, like I said, there's a belief, there's a value system, there is something that has been a stable force for you. And this is why I feel like it's something moral and kind of incorporeal, right? And we're kind of, you know, we're encouraged to stick to our values and our morals societally, and that's a good thing. But there's something where it's, I feel like because that's encouraged, it's sort of run in the background, and again, it's like struggling to really own it. This also can be those Sagittarian traits where maybe this person feels really secure when you know, they are in one place. They have their little, you know, their little kind of fortress. They go to the same places. This has the energy of somebody who like goes to a lot of the same places, or they're a regular, they order the same things. They like their comfort zone. And what this person is helping you to do is helping you to kind of like become a little bit more grounded, and you're helping them to become a little more, maybe a little more adventurous, a little more mutable. But this is where, you know, there's something where you guys have decisions to make, both personally and then together. And this is helping you guys come into balance, right? This is like a healthy compromise, give and take. Because whatever this is something that you thought you couldn't budge on. And you're learning to kind of expand your belief system even further. For some of you too, excuse my burp, like I said, this person might be very materially based. You guys have similar values, but maybe different beliefs about how those values should be applied. And you're very spiritually based, and you guys kind of, again, you need what the other one has. This person is helping you sort of balance out and come to terms with the fact of like, okay, you know, being grounded a little bit more, or being a little more, you know, grounded earth side is an important part of living a healthy spiritual journey in this lifetime. And you're bringing a lot more spirituality to this person. They're reassessing how they handle things. They're kind of easing up on the rigidity that they may have had, and they're offering you more structure in return. This is kind of what they're bringing to you, is they're kind of helping you come back into balance. I'm also getting too, because this can be about generosity. I'm noticing the pentacle in their hands. This person might want to try to help you out materially or financially. And this might be something that like makes you uncomfortable, or just like doesn't, you know, you're afraid to accept it because it's like, oh, I don't want to I don't know, it's like this, there would be like a little bit of hesitation about accepting it for whatever reasons. And this is going to cause both of you to need to kind of look within and be like, okay, you know, why do I feel the need to be in this position of like a provider or taking care of somebody financially? Why do I have that like need in order to feel secure in this relationship? And for you, this is going to be like, why might I, you know, struggle to accept this? There's a like, again, there's like a pattern, there's a belief system. It's going to be different for all of you. That's why I'm getting kind of vague answers here. But you're going to challenge that up in order to help each other really grow and become more balanced, because both of you are in some type of comfort zone, whether you realize it or not. And this needs to expand and change, right? This needs to kind of see a little bit of the light of day here. We need to unpack that. So I want to just pull some cards of advice for you at this point in your journey to kind of help close the reading out. You guys, if I could talk. I want to look at this card but not take it. Yeah, 9 of Wands. I feel like there's something here. This is usually a card of the wounded warrior and a little bit of exhaustion. I don't feel like you're exhausted with the way your life has been up until meeting this person, but I do feel like there's a little bit of boredom. It's like, I know there's more, or I feel like there's more, but I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to keep trying kind of, you know, different versions of my old patterns, right? So it's the same devil in a new suit. And this is where this person's coming in to kind of help. If you are already in connection with this person and you're struggling or you're outright separated, being apart is exhausting, not only for you, but also for them. Yeah, with the Tower, but it's yielding some really important changes, right? Something that's not working is being dismantled in order to build something better. Yeah, Queen of Wands, there you guys are. In order to help you manifest something that's more in alignment with what you actually want, but I'm getting what you actually need. Yeah, because 6 of Wands at the bottom. There is victory here. There is success here. But let's see the words of advice from your guides. We have, the 7 of Swords. The 8 of Cups reversed. Okay. And the Page of Cups. Okay, so for a lot of you, I do feel like you're already connected to this person. And there may be either a separation or you're thinking about separating. There may have been some deceit, some, I'm hearing minced words, like intentionally minced words. So maybe not straight up lying, but there is kind of like some significant issues in communication that one or both of you knew were not like, you know, they're like, oh shoot, maybe I should, you know, I should offer more clarity. And it's like, you know, they'll figure it out. Right? Like something like that. You're kind of aware that you're doing not the best job, but kind of also like, we'll deal with it later. But there's been something where there's been an element of sabotage, right? One of you may have left and the other person's kind of deciding, do I give up on this? Do I not? There's been something that's kind of like causing a rift here. And for those of you where that's the case, with this Page of Cups, you're being asked to keep your heart open. And I rarely say this, but I am sensing this really heavily, to maybe not give up on the situation quite yet. You know, don't like hold your breath, go live your life. But to know that this situation it's not over yet. And that might be why you guys are exhausted. And I feel that. That's why I'm like, oh, don't hate me. I'm just the messenger here. You know, please always do what you feel is empowering to you. You know, do what is healthy for you, what's not toxic for you. But I feel like there is still stuff you don't know yet. And that's why, like, there's conversations that need to be had between you and this person. That's why you guys aren't able to walk away from it, right? Also with the cups getting, like, closer and closer, I feel like you guys are closer and closer to solving something, closer and closer to union or reunion. And there is a lot of love here, and it's very pure love, right? This is kind of like almost opening up new emotions for you guys. Now, for those of you who haven't met your person yet, I do feel like there's something where, again, this belief system that you have, this like, there's something in your blind spot, and it's actually causing a lot more problems than you realize. This could cause people to walk away from you. This could cause you to kind of be, you know, like leaving behind things that you like are still, there's still life in it, right? This could cause you to kind of jump from thing to thing to thing, and it's been making it hard to really like establish anything. There could also be like somebody who you're holding on to from the past, where it's like, oh, but we were meant to be. Again, it's that spiritual, it's the big why without looking at the smaller why, right? Being able to hold an equal value and measure, like, okay, yeah, this person is a soulmate or we have a soul tie, but if they're, you know, come into the table with toxic behavior, I can't let that happen, right? So there's an element to which, you know, I feel like having a blended perspective as you look at this past person, that might be what's going on here, because you might be looking at them with rose-colored lenses. So for those of you who haven't met this person yet, there's something in your life that is undermining your emotional well-being and making it hard for you to move into calmer waters and healthier, you know, healthier choices for yourself, right? Because the 8 of Cups is always followed by the 9, which is like that wish come true. So this is like kind of been blocking you from getting what you actually really want in life. And that's why this person's about to emerge, especially with all the fish here, to help you have abundant, like emotional abundance. So I think that's just about everything that I'm seeing for you guys. I hope this has been helpful. It's been an honor and a joy to get to read for you today, and I hope I get to again in the future. Take care, love bugs. Bye.